Hi there, I hope you're doing well today. You might have wondered, why do nice people always end up being alone? It's a question that's more common than you'd think, and the answer lies in something much deeper than just surface-level situations. When we think of someone as nice, we often imagine them as easygoing, always ready to help, and always putting others first. But, here's the thing, while being kind and considerate are admirable qualities, they don't always lead to the healthy, fulfilling relationships that people hope for. In fact, sometimes, being too nice can push people away, and it all boils down to one key thing: energy. At the core, everything in this universe, including our relationships, is based on energy. We attract the people and situations that match our internal energy. If you're constantly putting others first, seeking approval, or overgiving, you are sending out a frequency of neediness or self-sacrifice. This is not the same as selfless love or healthy generosity. It's coming from a place of not valuing yourself enough to establish boundaries. Think about it for a moment. How do you feel when someone gives you something with no strings attached? It's wonderful, right? But, have you ever noticed when someone gives you something, but you can tell they are expecting something in return, or they give out of a sense of obligation, rather than genuine desire? That energy feels different. It feels draining, and it creates a kind of distance. When we talk about being nice, there's an important distinction to make. Kindness is one thing, but neediness disguised as kindness is quite another. People often overlook their own needs to please others, thinking that this will make them loved or appreciated. But, in reality, it can make you feel unseen, unheard, and ultimately, alone. This dynamic often pushes others away without you even realizing it. Now, let's get to the heart of why this happens. When you're always in give mode, without replenishing your own energy, you essentially become an emotional drain on others. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're not taking care of your own emotional health. You're giving, but you're not receiving the same energy in return. Eventually, people start to sense this imbalance, and they might distance themselves, even if they don't consciously know why. What most nice people don't realize is that they have the power to change this. They don't need to stop being kind, but they do need to learn how to balance giving and receiving. The key is to cultivate self-love and healthy boundaries. When you honor yourself first and fill your own cup, you're no longer looking to others to validate your worth. You're no longer desperate for love or approval because you already have it within yourself. In relationships, this energy shift makes a huge difference. When you're coming from a place of wholeness, you're not attaching your worth to how others treat you. You're not afraid of being alone because you understand that your value doesn't depend on anyone else. You're free to love and connect in a way that feels empowering and authentic, not from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. This isn't to say that you should become selfish or stop caring for others. Quite the opposite, actually. When you're whole within yourself, your kindness becomes more powerful, because you're offering it freely, without expectation or need. You're able to give without losing yourself in the process, and this is the kind of energy that attracts healthy relationships. Many people who are constantly giving without boundaries or self-respect find themselves exhausted, emotionally drained, and yes, alone. But the truth is, this loneliness often stems from the belief that their worth is defined by how much they give to others. They lose sight of the fact that their true worth is not contingent on pleasing others or being nice at all times. True worth comes from within. Another factor that contributes to this loneliness is the fear of rejection. Nice people often avoid conflict and seek approval, hoping that by being nice, they will be loved and accepted. But here's a hard truth: avoiding conflict doesn't lead to deeper connections. In fact, it can cause resentment and frustration on both sides. People can sense when you're not being authentic, and this creates a barrier between you and others. If you're afraid to express your true feelings, or if you're constantly trying to be what you think others want, you're not allowing people to connect with the real you. And it's that real, unfiltered version of you that people want to connect with. They want to feel seen and heard, not just admired for your kindness. If you truly want to form deeper relationships, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, to express your needs, and to be authentic, even if that means disagreeing or setting boundaries. When you do this, you're creating an environment where others feel safe to do the same. And it's in this space of mutual respect and authenticity that deep, meaningful connections can grow. Another reason why nice people end up alone is that they often believe that if they just give a little more, do a little more, they'll finally get the love or recognition they're seeking. This mindset of, if I just do enough, they'll love me back, is a trap. It's the energy of scarcity. It's as though you're waiting for someone else to validate your worth, and that energy is not attractive. When you're constantly in a state of doing, rather than being, you're creating an imbalance in the relationship dynamic. You're not allowing space for the other person to contribute, to give back, or to meet you halfway. The key to changing this dynamic is simple: stop seeking approval. Stop trying to prove your worth. When you stop seeking validation from others and start validating yourself, you become more attractive, not less. You begin to embody the energy of self-love, which in turn attracts others who are aligned with that energy. You begin to form relationships where both parties contribute equally, and both feel valued and appreciated. It's also important to understand that sometimes being nice doesn't mean being a people pleaser. There's a difference between helping others out of genuine kindness and doing so out of fear or insecurity. People who are constantly trying to please others are often afraid of being judged or rejected. They believe that by always being nice, they'll be liked or accepted. But, ironically, this constant need to please others can create feelings of resentment or bitterness, which ultimately leads to loneliness. Learning to say no is one of the most powerful tools you can use to stop being alone. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you a person who values their time and energy. And when you respect your own boundaries, you teach others to do the same. The truth is, the nicest people in the world are often the most vulnerable to feeling alone because they don't understand the importance of their own needs. They're so busy trying to meet the needs of others that they forget to meet their own. But once you recognize the importance of self-love, boundaries, and authenticity, you'll start to see that your relationships improve. You'll begin to attract people who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can give them. It's crucial to note that being nice doesn't mean being a doormat. You can be kind, compassionate, and loving without losing yourself in the process. It's all about finding balance. It's about knowing that you are worthy of love and respect just as you are, and not having to prove yourself through endless sacrifices. When you start living this truth, you'll find that the right people will come into your life. They'll be attracted to your energy, your authenticity, and your ability to love yourself. And in return, you'll create relationships that are deeply fulfilling, not based on what you can give, but on who you are. So, if you're someone who has struggled with being alone, note this: your worth is not determined by how much you give to others. It's determined by how much you love yourself. Take the time to nurture your own energy, to create healthy boundaries, and to be authentic in all your relationships. When you do this, you'll attract the kind of people who can meet you where you are, and the loneliness will fade away. Now, take a moment to reflect on this. Are you living in a way that respects your own needs? Are you giving from a place of abundance, or from a place of need? When you change the way you show up in your relationships, you change everything. You are worthy of love, respect, and connection, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. And when you recognize this truth, you'll never feel alone again.